Shorty and that God's will be done. Evidently, God's will was to take her. And the family is going to be fine because this is the strongest. I don't know if I've ever seen a family with this much faith before. And they all loved her so much. So today we will be saying goodbye to Betty Brackett Jordan, who was 71 years old. Very, very special lady. And right now I want to share something that her grandson did for us. These are photos of Betty way back when. Now, she leaves a grieving husband and 2 children and many, many grandchildren and nieces and nephews. She and Shorty were married 53 years.
Wow, that's good.
53 years to have been lucky enough to have been with the most amazing woman in the world. Right now, we're going to go to some photos. Isaac Kelly did this for the family to have, and this is a great tribute to a wonderful, wonderful lady. They were married 53 years. Think of the laughs, think of the memories, think of the good times. And today, yeah, it will be a sad time for the family, but it is a great day for her. And her favorite song, she loved this song by The Inspirations, If You Only Knew. I hope that we'll get to play that for you in just a little bit because she knew where she was going. She knew who would be there to greet her. She knew exactly what her life meant to others, and yeah, she hated leaving us. She really hated leaving us.
Yeah.
But right now, we're going to go to some photos of Betty Jordan that I gave. Hold on a second, guys. Got you. Okay, here we go. City, and that was 1 year ago. Jimmy Pearson, the diplomats were there, Betty and Shorty were there. We were cooking some awesome barbecue, and we had a great time. And that is the day I understood what the song If You Only Knew meant to her. She was sitting there watching the Inspirations sing that as Mike Calkin was singing. Tears were pouring down her cheeks, and Freddie knelt down beside her, hugged her, and told her he loved her. And I said, that's the day I knew what an amazing man he was, because he knew how that song was touching his aunt. Now, we've got a DVD set up that has music and a lot of photos that we want to share with you. There you go. We're back. That was a really great tribute to a really, really great lady. And Isaac, thank you so much for sharing that with us. You know, can you imagine being the grandson of that amazing lady and staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning going through what a family
I'm sure
history.
He had a lot of thoughts going through his mind.
Yeah, what a family history. Your family dealt with cancer many, many times.
Yeah.
Your Aunt
Most families
Arlene
do,
has
yeah.
had breast cancer how many times?
Maybe a couple. I know at least once or twice, so yeah.
And then
It
Aunt
hits every
Linda
family.
died quickly, didn't she?
Yeah.
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 Doug, is there a family around your area that hasn't been affected by cancer? We all have.
Gosh, I mean, yeah, there's nothing. I mean, you mentioned cancer, mentioned a name, and it's somebody you know
Yeah, somebody you know and
or
love.
kin to or something. I mean, yeah, it's amazing.
Well, we're welcoming the assistant mayor of Ducktown. We can never get the mayor here, and I don't know why. What is his problem? He keeps promising
keep
me.
up with him, you know. I think he
keeps
was.
promising.
I think he worked in Atlanta yesterday.
Yes,
He's on his
he
way
did.
home right about
He's a
now.
firefighter, and we have to give him a little credit. Busy, busy time and hot time for those firefighters in Atlanta.
Yeah, bad.
A lot of bad fires this weekend, and I'm sure he was busy. So we're gonna settle for you, and that's cool. That's okay.
That's fine.
That's okay.
Yeah, as long as
Can
we
we
can-
talk about the Miners' Homecoming?
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, this is our 35th annual Miners Homecoming, and gosh, it started back bicentennial in 1976, I guess, and I was 12 years old. So it's dear to my heart because it used to make our summer vacation just looking forward to it. It used to run a week long, and we're down to basically 2 days between Copper Hill and Ducktown.
Okay.
So in McCaysville or whatever. So, but it's just a basic, nothing real fancy, just a time to get together. So.
A lot of memories, a lot of stories are told.
Oh,
A
yeah,
lot of folks who haven't seen each other in a while.
A lot of people, it's once a year when they get to see each other,
Right.
seem like. Yeah.
Now this time there's going to be a very special photo taken over at the Hoist House.
Right.
That is done by ETC, and it is done to help with the program that they're doing about the miners.
Right.
And we wanted to let people know that if you worked at the company, it's not just for miners.
Exactly. I mean, and the original thought when I come up with the idea was to have a copper company workers reunion. And then ETC was doing the little show, movie, whatever you want to call it, on the deal. And talked to Jennifer back in January, I guess. Well, then Billy Wayne, Chastain come up, and we all sat down last month and trying to get it so everybody will feel welcome and make sure it covers everybody. But yeah, the main reason I think they were going to have a camera set up and try to interview any of the miners that show up, and then do a group photo of the miners. So it's came a long ways in a short amount of time,
sure
really.
has.
And my idea was just everything I try to think of it, just try to get my crowd bigger, because we want to grow a little every year.
Right.
This may I'm hoping he'll help out because most of the family should be there. And,
I hope so. Now, how many people have you got music this year?
oh gosh, yeah.
I see a name up there. I recognize the Barker brothers will be at the Hoist House.
I think that's their yearly gig up there on
Yes,
Friday
yes,
night from 4
yes.
o'clock to 7. And of course, then our gospel show is that night from 7:30 to 9:30. We've got Mandy Dixon coming back. Got the Parton family. Oh gosh, let me see. I think the O'Neills, and this thing is not up.
Well, the Parton family's enough to show up for, and the rest of it's just icing on the cake.
They're
so,
definitely
yeah,
going to help
yeah,
our crowd that Friday night. And of course,
Definitely.
Copper Hill McCabe will do their fireworks that Friday night. So we try to work everything together so everybody gets in. And then, of course, Saturday morning starts off at 7 o'clock with the pancake breakfast up at the Hoist House. And we also have breakfast up at the lodge, the Masonic Lodge, do a breakfast up there too. So if you want to eat, we've got food all day. And of course, the patriotic walking parade for the kids. We call it Kids Patriotic Walking Parade, but everybody comes up, and it's just so simple. You wouldn't even think it works, but it has grown every year, and it's got bigger, and it goes down to Glen Springs, which they'll start their open house and give out cookies and T-shirts, one thing or another. So
That's a big weekend.
well, that's just the start of it, yeah, of course, and then I think we do soup bean dinner up at the Masonic Lodge at 10:30.
I had a little of that last
Did
year,
you?
thanks
Oh,
to
good
Angie
deal.
Barker's mom. Yeah, we
Okay.
went by there,
Right.
and we actually took some plates with us on another trip we were going on.
Right.
So,
So
yeah.
It all, and so far, most of our local, we try to keep all the local churches and organizations involved in it with us in the school. And of course, we got Kids Alley, which is something we've been working on. And last year, the high school marching band took it over, and I think they raised about $1,200 last
That's
year.
awesome.
So they are workers. I mean, Kara, the director.
I started saying this
amazing.
band has come
Yeah,
a
they've come a long
way.
ways.
Yeah.
So they really definitely help us. Of course, at 12 o'clock, we've got our big rubber duck race. And the miners, or the Masonic Lodge did sponsor that. They give it up. And the guy come by and told me, he said, we're not going to be able to do the duck race, or the Masons not. And I'm like, but the
What?
Shriners have picked it up. So
Okay, good.
that's going to go on. And other than that, and then we were talking earlier, the biggest thing is we're calling it Miners Reunion, Copper Company Worker Reunion. That's from 1 to 4:30. And if I'm not mistaken, Billy Wayne said they're wanting to do the photo about 2:30
2:30,
or something like that. So any miners, and I've got them in Cleveland everywhere. So I'm just trying to contact everybody I can and get the word out. But it's amazing how it's spreading out there. And then at 1:30 to 3:30, we've got the high school reunion. So if you ever graduated from the old Ducktown High School, Copper Basin, any of them, you're welcome to do that. And it's going to be over at the new high school. I think at the cafeteria, I believe, is where they have that. So,
Okay.
and then, of course, we've got our amateur talent
I
show
was going
here.
to say, today,
Yeah.
when you came in, wandering in behind you came a little row of beautiful little girls.
Bunch of little girls, and I think they're definitely going to be singing there, plus some others and all. And that's from 4:30 to 5:30. And if anybody wants to come sing that, we've got the
And that's an amateur talent contest?
amateur talent, yeah,
Okay.
and that should
Is there a
contact.
prize for that or just bragging rights?
I tell you what, the biggest reason that we like to do that, last year we didn't do it, and we had a couple. I think Bailey sang during our bluegrass section. We had another little, God, they're going to kill me.
Uh-oh, you're in trouble.
Destiny Pittman sang during the with C.C. Morgan. Them, they took a little break, and I had kids coming up to me wanting to sing next, and it just broke my heart really. So I said, we've
So
got
you
to
knew
do
you gotta
something
go
so we
back
can
to
let all the kids, because I don't want to turn any of them away. So because they're pretty bold. I don't like to get up there, and I'm definitely not singing.
And you don't ever want to follow the kids.
No.
No,
No.
because
Oh,
everybody's
no.
still talking about how
Yeah.
good the kids
They
were.
tore the place
They
down.
care less about
and
you,
The
yeah.
bands were
Yeah.
good about letting them work in there and stuff,
Yeah.
so that works. And then
Yeah.
Then the main, well, now I've got another group I didn't have on this list that's coming on, and they're local, and they're just starting out, and this is their first stage project, but we're doing them at 3 o'clock, and they're called Wings of Icarus.
Okay.
Sort of strange name, but they're good guys, bunch of young boys up there, and they play a lot of 80s rock,
Okay.
the hard stuff. So I'm trying to put them on at 3 so it won't blow everybody off that night, but hopefully that works. Of course, then at 6 o'clock we have Ray Deaton and Drastic Measures, and some of those guys used to be with Blue Ridge Grass, and I didn't even know they broke up,
Right.
till I talked to Greg, I guess it was, and stuff. But of course, then 8 o'clock we have C.C. Morgan. Joe and the boys coming back to tear it up, and they love coming to Ducktown. We
Oh,
love
yeah,
having
they
them.
do a great job.
And then 10 o'clock we should round up everything with our fireworks. And
Sounds like a fun day.
It's a long day. I'm already tired and I hadn't started yet.
Tired just thinking about it.
Yeah,
Well, we're
so-
going to take a break and we're going to go to the community calendar and to our sponsors while we set up these beautiful little ladies. Now, you rounded up some good talent, you rounded up some cute girls, and rounded up their
take
mom and
credit for all
dads.
that.
It's important that these kids get to show up and show out, isn't it? That's
Oh,
an
yeah,
important part
yeah.
of your community.
Yeah, it is, because we've got a lot of talent in our little small community. I mean, it's amazing, just like with the Barker boys. I mean, we've got kids that it's amazing. so.
Homegrown and
Yeah.
bred. Now, right now, we're going to take a break and we're going to go to our sponsors in the community calendar. When you come back, they're going to do what song now? God Bless America?
God bless them. Her kids. They
Is that
didn't
right?
tell me. I think so.
And then a
yeah.
couple more songs. And what's the little girl who does the solo?
Bailey Monday.
Bailey Monday. You're going to
Bailey.
get to hear. So, Grandma, if you're sitting at home,
She came on a good day.
get your DVR because you're going to
Monday.
get to see a really good performance by some local kids from the Copper Basin. We'll be back in just a minute.
Dig a hole in the meadow, dig a hole in the go-go ground, dig a hole in the meadow, gonna let all the Corey down. Wake up, darling Corey, what makes you sleep so sound? The highway robbers are coming, they're gonna tear your playhouse down. Dig a hole in the meadow, dig a hole in the go-go ground, dig a hole in the meadow, gonna let all the Corey down. Well, the last time I saw darling Corey, she was standing on the banks of the sea with a 44 around her and a banjo on her knee. Dig a hole in the meadow, dig a hole in the go-go ground, dig a hole in the meadow, gonna lay darling Corey down. Dig a hole in the meadow, dig a hole in the go-go ground, dig a hole in the meadow, gonna lay darling Corey down. Dig a hole in the meadow, dig a hole in the go-go ground, dig a hole in the meadow, gonna lay darling Corey down. Dig a hole in the meadow, dig a hole in the cocoa.
stretched a smile away. I'm saying I love you, I'm always walking after midnight, searching for you. I stopped to see a weeping willow crying on his pillow. Maybe he is crying for me. And as the stars get bluey, like winds of a tree, I'm as lonesome as I can be. I go a-walking after midnight, out in the moonlight, just like we used to do. I'm always walking after midnight, searching for you. Wish that I was on a rocky top down in the Tennessee hills. Ain't no smoggy smoke on Rocky Top, ain't no telephone bills. Once I saw a bow on Rocky Top fishing out with his dad. He fell and came out with a mason jar. What do you think about that? Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee. Once two strangers climbed a rocky top, looking for a moonshine still. Strangers ain't come down from Rocky Top, reckon they never will. Corn won't grow at all on Rocky Top, dirt's too rocky by far. That's why all the folks on Rocky Top get their corn from jars. Rocky Top, it'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee. Rocky Top, Tennessee.
How precious.
Yeah, boy.
Now, let me tell you about her. She looks like me, but she can sing. I can't.
Don't insult that little girl.
She is so cute. Oh, my Lord. They did a great job.
So
Good
that's
job.
a younger version of you. Huh?
Yeah, that is. Good job, Miss Connie Davis. That was absolutely precious. Now, we've been talking about events that are going to happen on the 4th of July, and I want to tell you a couple of things we missed. The Miners Homecoming Kids Pageant is going to be at 1 p.m. on that Saturday. For pageant information, contact Vicki Cook, 706-781-8894. And also, that day, all day long, there will be free admission to the museum. So if you haven't seen the Copper Basin Museum, you need to go do that. You talk about miners' history, and a great, great visit.
Well, those folks in that area have no excuse to have something to do that weekend.
That's right, that's right. Now, also, if you have a computer, you can go to ducktownmainstreet.com and have all this information. Well, I'm joined now by a gentleman who is going to be on the other end of the, we go from Ducktown, Turtletown to Ball Ground. We're going to stop in the middle about Pickens County, and we're going to talk to Captain Reynolds. Let's talk about some safety issues over the 4th of July, and let's talk about some upcoming laws that will go into effect over the holiday weekend.
Oh, boy.
Absolutely. I don't know how to follow an act like that. They
I
might not
don't
remember this
know. You
conversation.
and I could neither one do that.
Well, we have some new laws that are going to come up in July, and some of those laws affect all drivers, especially some of our under 21 drivers. And we also have the 4th of July, like you said, that's coming up.
Traffic. Now, yesterday, did people think yesterday was the 4th of July? Because yesterday going down 515 was crazy packed.
Yeah.
Gas is $2.65 a gallon. People are acting like there's no economic problems. I mean, the roads were full. Have you seen that all week long?
People want to get out on the lake. They're going on vacation. They're traveling North Georgia and beyond. So,
And we do have a nice place for them to visit.
absolutely.
Yay.
There are many nice areas up here in North Georgia, and those commuters are going to come through the counties.
Regardless of the price of gas.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, tell me what you expect traffic control. Will you have extra troopers on the road to help y'all? How will you handle the traffic flow?
Well, what we do in Pickens County is we combine forces with the State Patrol and the City of Jasper. And what we do is we try to enforce the high traffic areas such as 515, Highway 53, and of course you got Carter's Lake and a lot of people going up there. So what we're going to do is we're going to be out in force. We're going to be looking for those impaired drivers and aggressive drivers, for those people that are not going to make it fun for everybody else.
Do you know, this weekend I think I heard of 3 different DUI fatality where people drunk caused an accident that killed somebody else. Are you trying to stop things like that from happening?
One of the major things that we try to do is get general compliance with the law through education and having people, not drink at all if they're going to be driving and allow somebody else. So, some people may feel fine. We don't even want to get to that buzz level. They may not
Right.
reach a statutory limit of being under the influence. We don't even want them to drink alcohol or use illegal drugs or prescription medication, which is
Right.
also on the rise. So we want to educate our drivers as much as possible, and then when it comes to actually enforcing the laws, we're going to have a zero tolerance for anybody that's out there on the roadways that are impaired.
It's a change forever, because if you take somebody's family member, number one, it ruins your life, it ruins that family's life, so it totally messes up everybody. Can you, are you going to do roadblocks?
Some of the tactics are changing, and with today's cellular use and texting, which is on my note here, people, you set up the roadblock and they respond to it. They send messages out. So we have to work with the new technology.
Wow,
So if
never
we set
thought
up a
about
roadblock, within a few minutes, people are going to know it's out there. So we might put one up real quick, break it down, and move it somewhere else, and we'll have
Good
concentrated
idea.
patrols.
Yeah.
So we got to change with the times, and this is an example of.
Never thought about that. Yeah.
So, some of the laws that are changing that will affect drivers starting in July are some of the new House and Senate bills. One of those are pickup trucks are no longer exempt from the seatbelt law.
Doggone
Oh,
it.
darn it. Here we go.
That's about all I've got is pickup trucks.
Well, and I ride with somebody who looks over and says, "You're not belted up." I mean, it's a law at our house. You got to be belted up. Captain Frank's not there to enforce the law. Captain Freddie is, and he is like, belt up. So it's just a safety thing that truly does save lives, doesn't it?
There are people that believe that not wearing their seatbelt, especially in a truck, is a little bit safer. They might get thrown from the vehicle. Well, I'm here to tell you, I've been to a lot of accidents, and I've never seen anybody thrown from a vehicle that it was in their best interest. I've never seen anybody that has worn their seatbelt, or let me rephrase that. The percentages are much greater for survival and less injury if you wear your seatbelt. And so we want to promote that as much as possible.
Is this going to be a tough one to enforce in our areas?
You're going to meet a lot of resistance,
Yeah, I think so.
especially it being 2010. Sheriff Craig and Nicholson and Sheriff Dane Kirby. Thank you. I was having a moment there. Their agencies are becoming more proactive with traffic enforcement, and we're going to meet a little bit of resistance, but it's in the best interest. And if we can accomplish, the education through a warning, then certainly we will consider that. But the State Patrol also has the click it or ticket, and so they're probably going to be out in force enforcing those new laws.
Texting, the big thing, texting. How are you going to do that? I watched people in about a 20-mile radius driving. We saw, it was either 5 or 9 people texting. And I kept glancing over and I told Freddie, I said, how are they going to know if you're texting or talking or dialing a number? But I could tell that they were texting, because when you use both thumbs, you are texting. How are you going to enforce that?
It's a difficult thing to enforce. However, there have been situations where people were texting and driving and were in accidents, and all you got to do is look at their phone, and when they're halfway through a sentence, you pretty much understand that they were in the process of sending a message. Texting is very dangerous. I'm guilty of it, and I'm sure most everybody is.
You are not.
I have been.
Well,
and,
you will not anymore, Donnie Craig says.
that is absolutely correct. In fact,
He sent a message.
we have a county policy that prevents us from doing that. But the dangers of it are just like being impaired, and what we have to do is educate those drivers not to use their text while they're driving. But the other thing is even just dialing a cell phone and you're
yeah.
looking down.
I'm guilty of that.
So my recommendation is
guilty of that.
pull off on the side of the road, answer your phone, make your phone call or send your message, and get back on the road.
Right.
That's the safest thing to do, because all you got to do is look down.
Wait. What is so critical that you can't wait till you get somewhere? Look at your messages. Usually when I leave here, by the time I get to Jasper, I have about 9 messages. And I've learned that I don't have to drive and what is so important?
As quick as you get to Jasper, you can answer them
Hush
pretty
now,
fast.
hush. Shut up.
You know what her nickname is? I've
Hush
given her.
now.
You remember the little song, "The Little Old Lady from Pasadena"? Her
Yeah.
name is the Little Old Lady from 515.
Yes, it is.
Go, Granny, go.
But why was this law enacted? A child died?
Well, we've had a lot of
Texting.
accidents,
Yeah.
and
Sure.
I don't know if you've seen the commercial where, in fact, one young gentleman was texting
Right.
and
19
crashed.
years old, and I
Yes.
think it was his dad was texting him something.
I don't know the details to it, but I know it was a fatality.
Mm-hmm.
And so the new law says that anybody that's under the age of 21 is not allowed to use their cell phone, and
Not allowed to talk on their cell phone
not allowed
or
to talk.
use their cell
Not
phone.
allowed to talk on their cell phone.
Go, way to
Yeah.
go.
And that's part of that graduated driver's license.
Uh-huh.
And no driver is allowed to text. So, using these proactive steps maybe will save some lives.
Mm-hmm.
But the cell phone use can be an advantage. It's something that we can carry with us. But it's one of those things that's as deadly as driving under the
Oh, yeah.
influence, because just like driving under the influence, you've got to operate the steering wheel, the pedals, the mirrors, the many different things, and you're dividing your attention. Well, that same thing happens when you're texting or using your cell phone. And when your attention is not where it should be, you're going to be responsible for somebody else getting hurt, and that's unfortunate.
This doesn't apply to lawnmowers and tractors, right?
No.
Well, I hope not.
Just road vehicles.
Just road vehicles.
Now, what about cars that have the hands off, what do you call
Well,
it?
yes,
You
in the
know.
dash, I mean.
Yeah, if it's in the dash, you can still talk on the phone, but you can't text. So what about a 21-year-old if it's activated through their car?
That's a good question. I don't have the answer for that, but I'll
Okay.
find that out for you.
Okay.
Also, how about CB radios, if people still use those? Is that,
Yeah,
does that
people do.
apply?
Trucker people
know.
still
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, it's from all the electronic devices that we have nowadays, certainly CBs is something that's always been out there. I don't think that affected it, but certainly the texting and the cell phone use for people under 21, no cell phone use.
Do you have children?
I do. I have a 9-year-old and I have an 8-month-old
Okay, your
little girl.
9-year-old, are they already into texting and into cell phones?
He doesn't have a phone yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
because it amazes me to sit and watch a kid, 10, 11 years old, who can master this thing. And they think that they have it all together, and they think they know it. I mean, my son's a pro. If you looked at his cell phone bill, he has unlimited text, and he'll have like 5,000 texts a month, but he uses his phone very little. He talks on it very little. So it's all about those thumbs. Why did we go to that age? Why are we not communicating through talking to people? What is this thing with texting? Do you get it? Because you have 3 teenagers.
Yeah, and you got a daughter, right? I got 3. God bless you.
Yeah. Do you get what is the texting thing? Why do we go away from just talking to folks?
Well, sometimes it's a convenience for me, especially if I don't want to have a conversation. I can just send that message
Okay.
and get the point across. And but it's one of those things that's a part of our daily life now, where we have to work around it, and especially when it comes to operating a vehicle, we just have to
And the law goes into effect what day?
July 1st.
July
midnight.
1st.
July
Okay.
1st.
All right. I think it's going to be hard to enforce. I watched that day. I think we were headed down I-75, and I was just glancing over, and I would say, "Okay, Freddie, 1, 2, 3. There's 5." And I said, he said, "How do you know they were texting?" I said, "When both thumbs are operating, you are texting. You are not dialing." So.
Well, a lot of times, just like with DUIs, we'll have people calling in, especially if that motorist is all over the road, and you have witnesses and you have people that call in. Typically, with our traffic enforcement, the officer observes the infraction and pulls him over. But certainly we can corroborate that through the call-ins from 911. But there again, you're having a person use the telephone calling 911.
Yeah,
so.
but you know what's so cool? the cell phone does not lie. Many politicians have been caught in trouble because that cell phone has a record. And you can go back and see, you were talking about if there was an impact and you're in the middle of a sentence, there's a record there. You know, you can't lie, cheat, or steal away from that record that cell phone creates.
Once it's put out in cyberspace, it's there forever. And those companies,
That's scary. And
those providers maintain a record of that and a log and a time and so forth. And once it's out there, it's out there. And in law enforcement, we use that to our advantage, especially when we have criminal investigations. So, you know, it's one of those things that I would caution people about doing. And
Have you been meeting with teenagers and talking to them about this and letting them know that y'all are dead serious about this?
we have the new SROs in Pickens County that are sheriff's deputies. And what we're going to start doing is putting that information out to the students, to those new drivers, and just like with our STOP program, the sheriff's telling our parents and promoting educated drivers, which if you want more information, you can contact Pickens Sheriff's Office. And, educating those drivers early on, before they turn 16, while they're 15 and younger, putting that information out there.
Do you think most kids know that this goes into effect and under 21 they cannot talk on a cell phone and drive? Do you think they're aware of this?
There are some commercials out there. There are some there is some media attention, and that's why we appreciate you allowing us to come on your show to put that information out there. So parents, please have your children understand these laws, and please enforce it at home so that it doesn't become a problem for everybody else.
You know what Nick would say to this? I call him a lot. I don't text him, I call him. Well, I would be the culprit calling him, that he would have to answer the call. Because then I would say, well, I called you 5 times and you didn't answer. And he could come back with, well, I was driving, Mom. Parents are guilty of causing their child to pick up a phone. So maybe we need to rethink things too.
Well, education starts at home, my personal opinion, and we would like to see that. So, any parent that's out there and they want information on how to make things safer for their children, please contact the Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Craig is very supportive of parents being involved in their children's lives, and especially with the STOP program and the Georgia Sheriff's Youth Homes and so forth, which I'd like to talk about in just a moment.
Yeah, let's do that.
But also, if I may, also the super speed, I'd like to put that out there. That law is in effect.
Super speed, is that the way I drive?
Yeah. If you're doing 85 on a 4-lane highway or 75 on a 2-lane highway, your fines can be increased up to an additional $200.
Wow.
So,
good for you.
please, please be careful with that.
No drags.
Yeah.
But, as I just mentioned, the Sheriff Craig had the first annual Pickens ride for the Georgia Youth Homes, which started in Sackett's and went all the way through LJ and into Dalton.
And let's say this youth home has suffered financially because of cutbacks and because of funding.
Yeah, I don't know the aspects of their funding, but I can say that.
But what a great organization.
Sheriff Craig is very happy with this first turnout. We'd like to see it grow. This time we had approximately 100 motorcycles, and Sheriff Craig and the citizens in the community, raised over $10,000 for that project.
That's awesome.
So
That's awesome.
if we can get more involvement next year, and it'd be all that much better. And I think he wants to do this for as long as he is sheriff. So it was a worthy cause, and that money goes to these children that are in foster care, and it gives them a permanent home, somewhere that they can learn the fundamentals of growing up and being responsible young adults.
The sheriff's home, I had a number, and I can't remember what the number was, how many kids have gone through that program and how many kids have been helped by that.
I'm not really sure. In fact, we should probably get him on the show.
It is a big, big number, yeah.
Are there any other new laws for July?
Let's see. We have the super speed, the texting, no cell phone use, the pickup trucks, and there are a few more. I don't have those with me, but
I think the cell phone thing is going to be the one that really hits kids. I don't think
It's
kids knew
everybody.
it. Yeah.
Well, from adults too.
Yeah, but 21 under,
Yeah,
you
I
can't
know.
talk. Yeah.
I think you can go online on gov.georgia.gov and look at those new laws. And
Can we
find
talk
out.
about penalties for these things?
Absolutely. The DUI, if that's what you're referring to, the DUI aspect of it there are fines that are mandated through the state. So if somebody's found guilty, they are subject to sanctions on their license, and having those stiff penalties monetarily and community service and so forth. Especially if they're recidivist and they've received, numerous DUIs, they're going to face jail time and or prison time. So, it's one of those things that the law is very strict on it, and the public is in very much support of enforcing DUI laws.
It should be, yeah.
Okay, the phone issue, what will be the fine? I mean, because some kids will say, "Oh, well, the fine's only." How much is the fine going to be for using a phone if you're under 21?
Very good question. I don't have the answer to it. There may be, just like with the DUI, a mandatory penalty. However, with each jurisdiction, whether it be municipal or county or state, may have different fines and fees and taxes put on that. So to answer your question, I'm not really sure.
It'll be interesting to see in the first 10 days how many tickets you write for these infractions, because to me, texting's not, I'm not smart enough to text and drive. Lord, I can't believe I said that, but I can't text and drive. I can talk and drive, but I'm not good enough with it because I don't do that two-thumb thing.
Teenagers, especially mine, will tell you they can text under the table. They know every little button on there
That just
without
blows
looking
my
at it.
mind. Yeah.
And they can do that under the steering wheel while they're driving. And
You
just kinda
are kidding me.
Do it again,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, I can't speak for the other counties or cities, but I can say that Sheriff Craig, is in support of the laws, but it is our position that we would like to educate drivers as much as possible.
Right.
If somebody needs a ticket and the situation is that the ticket's written, so be it. However, if we can educate a driver and tell them about the law and tell them about why it affects them, just like with the seatbelt. Some people think, I'm just hurting myself. Well, that's not necessarily true. If that person gets in a wreck and they don't have the medical insurance to cover it, you and I pay for it.
Right.
If they injure somebody else, or the indigent families that are directly affected through their injuries or injuring somebody else, or even the property damage, we all suffer that.
That's
and
right.
the same thing with these other laws. They think, well, the only person I'm hurting myself is myself, and that's not true. So we want to take a stance that in Pickens, we're going to be proactive, we're going to enforce the laws, and we're certainly going to be understanding and try to educate these drivers as much as possible. Because the whole thing that we want to do is to have general compliance of the law. For example, you go to a four-way stop sign. We want you to stop at that stop sign and do it because it's the right thing to do and it's a safe thing to do, not because you're made to do it.
Right.
And if we can get people to understand that they're responsible for their actions, and when we have to step in and say, this is a violation of the law,
Well, we've
seems
told
difficult.
100,000 people now that this is the law. This is the law effective July the 1st. And we're going to tell you, don't show up in court and plead stupidity. Stupidity will not work, will it?
No, well,
It will not.
ignorance of the law is not a defense.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Thank you for being here today.
Absolutely.
Is there
Well, thank
anything else
you.
we need to cover? We're going to bring somebody on now who may have had something to do with enacting the laws that we've talked about. He's a state senator. Now, being a state senator in the state of Georgia means you are probably listening to a bunch of whining people telling you what they want done.
Yeah.
We're going to talk to Senator Ralph Hutchins and find out, what did he get done? What is getting done with the state of Georgia other than these things we've talked about today? These things are very important because they will save lives.
Well, I'm going to stick around. I want to hear these things because these politicians and our representatives are the people that make the laws, and if it weren't for them, our jobs would be much easier. And when we have supportive politicians and representatives,
Right.
Put this information out there, it's for the benefit of everybody else.
That's
and
right.
so I'm very interested, and hopefully I can learn a few things.
That's right. Well, right now we're going to take a break, and when we come back, you're going to get to meet a state senator who is from an area that I know a whole lot about. He used to serve the Royston area, and Royston is like second home to us. So you will learn a little bit more about the state of Georgia and what it took to get these laws in place. And, they were put in place pretty quickly. So evidently everybody with the state agreed on these. We'll be back in just a minute. Thank you.
John saw a city that could not be hid.
John saw the city.
Oh, yes, he did. John caught a glimpse of the golden throne.
Tell me all about it.
Go right on around the throne. He saw the crystal sea.
There's
We're back. We are welcoming State Senator Ralph Hutchins, who is very involved in the things that have happened down in the state of Georgia recently. Let's talk about the getting along and the not getting along, and what did it take to pass the laws we've been talking about?
Well, Sherry, we've talked about several of these laws. The texting bill that passed, there was a family from Madison, Georgia, down in Morgan County. Their teenage son was texting, and he was killed. He had an accident. He was killed. And this father, his name is Belton. He's actually running for school board down there. He got very actively involved with the legislature, and we were able to put a face on an issue. And that's always
Makes a difference, doesn't it?
That's always so important, to be able to put that real life situation on an issue, and so he took that and that that prohibition against texting for teenagers or anyone. Actually, the texting applies to everyone. It got legs in the House. It passed the House. It came to the Senate. It passed the Senate, and the governor had put a message out that he was going to veto the bill.
Why?
And I don't know. You have to ask Sonny that.
Wow.
But then, right at the last minute, he changed his mind. He signed it into law, and like the captain said, it's
I
going to
started
go
to say that
into
would be
effect.
political suicide. He doesn't
Well,
care. He's not running again.
That's right.
So what does it matter?
He's through.
Yeah, I don't understand why you would even consider vetoing that.
Well, it was excuse me, it was controversial.
Sure it was. But it's also life-saving.
It is. It is very
Yeah.
life-saving.
Yeah. Now let's talk about something else. I hate insurance, but I have to have
gotta have it.
insurance. I have to have insurance. I have so much insurance. I have life insurance, health insurance, homeowners insurance. I own a trucking company,
Right.
$125,000 a year for truck insurance.
Right.
I hate insurance, but I can't do without insurance.
Right.
It is a necessary evil. What is happening in the industry? What is happening with insurance companies? I know my medical insurance has gone out the roof.
Right.
Out the roof.
Right.
What is happening, and how's the average American going to pay their insurance cost?
Well, Sherry, what's happened, and this was in 2007, we had a bill, Senate Bill 276, that changed the way that insurance rate increases or decreases are approved. Prior to Senate Bill 276 being enacted, every rate, either increase or decrease, had to be approved by the Department of Insurance. And we are one of the most restrictive, or we were one of the most restrictive states in the United States. And so Senate Bill 276 changed this method of what they call prior approval to a method called file and use. But it was only for personal passenger auto above the mandatory minimum of insurance. You know, state law says you've got to have $25,000 worth of liability insurance.
Now think about what you just said. $25,000
Yeah, I
is
know
not
it.
even
I
a
know it.
visit to the emergency room. I'm sorry.
I agree.
Have y'all been to the emergency room lately? That is like
It's
2
changed.
Tylenols and a diaper. Okay?
But that's what, and you know, it'd take the General Assembly to address that issue, to raise that mandatory minimum.
$25,000.
But Senate Bill 276 took this and said, all right, we're going to give the insurance companies the right to increase or decrease their rates when they want to. All they have to do is tell the department, and then put that new rate into action and apply it right then. And John Oxendine, he fought this vehemently. When it came back from the House, this Senate Bill 276 was a stacking bill, which we can go into if you want to. It went over to the House, and the House, it got amended. And then it came back with this provision to take this personal passenger auto above the mandatory minimum away from prior approval and make it file and use. Well, the commissioner said the insurance company is going to rape the public. They're going to raise their rates through the roof. Well, exactly the opposite has happened.
They've come down.
You know, turn on television, look and see about every third commercial says switch to my insurance company and save money.
Yeah,
And so Yes, the rates
As much
have
as
come down.
40%. As much as 40%, yeah.
And the reason we did that, I was on a study committee that had several senators on it, and we studied the rate approval method used around the United States. And we compared 4 different states. We compared Illinois, Nebraska, South Carolina, and Georgia. And the reason we chose those 4 states is because Illinois has absolutely no regulation on it. Nebraska is a little more stringent. South Carolina a little more stringent. They were using the file and use. And Georgia was prior approval, which was the most restrictive way to approve rates or increases or decreases. And so we took my driving record, my wife's driving record, her car and my car, and we got Cincinnati Insurance Company, which dealt in all 4 states, to give us a quote on automobile insurance, the same limits, you know, the same amount of coverage. And amazingly so, Illinois was the cheapest.
Wow.
With the least regulation. Nebraska was next, South Carolina was next, and Georgia was highest.
Wow.
And so, and we had testimony from Georgia State, from their risk management school, come in, and they say that the more regulation you have, the more hoops these insurance companies have to jump through, the less competition you're going to have, and correspondingly you're going to have higher prices. And so that's the reason that Senate Bill 276. Now I tell you all this to tell you that if I'm elected commissioner, I can make an administrative change to apply that same free market competition capitalistic solution to commercial vehicle insurance.
It's got to
And
happen.
It
It
has
has got to happen.
It's got to.
When you look at what it costs to renew truck insurance, there are trucking companies who can't renew their insurance
Right.
and shut their doors after over
Right.
30 years of business. We have to have this insurance because
Right.
quite often
Well,
a
it's
tiny
required by
accident,
law.
well, it's
Yes.
required by law, $1 million worth of liability. You know, we're talking $25,000. We have to have $1
Right,
million worth
right.
of liability. But, yeah, the cost of doing business is putting small business out of business. So I know when I am shopping insurance, and you and I have talked about this a lot, as self-employed people, we have to insure ourselves. It is hard to find a deal in Georgia. Blue Cross Blue Shield, I love them, and I've had them for years and years and years, but it's also like wearing a 3-carat diamond on my hand that, you know, I don't ever get to see because it goes through my checking account.
Right.
It is a necessary evil. What about medical cost in the state of Georgia? Will you address that? Because
Well-
medical cost, the cost of doing business with insurance on a regular routine, you don't even have insurance,
No, I had
do
to
you?
drop it. I had to drop it.
Yeah.
Health insurance.
I mean, you're looking at 2
Self-employed.
self-employed people who
Right.
can't afford our insurance.
Right. Well, and that's the reason that we have attempted in the legislature, and let me go back to tell you that the insurance commissioner, this position is an administrative position. He and his staff administer the laws.
Is that what John Oxendine's job has always been?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
administrative.
Okay.
I mean, when John Oxendine wanted to make a change to the Georgia Code, he'd have to go to a member of the General Assembly with the idea and get the member of the General Assembly to introduce that. Now, he could support it as a, quote, lobbyist and say, I'm for this or I'm against it. But the commissioner cannot change the Georgia law. All he can do is make suggestions to the General Assembly. Then it has to go through the House, through the Senate, to the governor, and the governor has to sign it. So if we're going to make changes to any of the health care, then, you know, it's going to have to be done by the General Assembly. Let me tell you, the Obama plan, you know, call it what you want to, Obamacare. We did everything that we possibly could do in the state of Georgia this year. We tried, and I say we, the Senate and the House, tried to do a constitutional amendment to let the citizens of the state of Georgia amend our Constitution to protect us from Obamacare. We were unable to get it through. It takes 2/3 majority of the Senate, 2/3 majority of the House, and we were unable to reach those numbers because the Democrats locked down and said we were going to protect our president, and so they voted against it. So the next strongest thing we could do would be to amend the Georgia Code. Well, Senate Bill 411, which I introduced, it's called the Healthy Georgians Act, has two sentences in it that I think are so pertinent to this discussion. It says, no law, rule, or regulation can force any Georgia citizen to purchase health insurance against their will. And it says that no employer or employee could be fined for not participating in a federal health program. And that passed the Senate, it passed the House, it went to the governor signed it on June 2nd. It's in effect.
It is law.
Yes, it is law, so we now are protected. Now, I'm sure there'll be a court challenge against this, as there's a court challenge against this Obamacare. 21 states have joined together and have filed lawsuit saying that you're violating with this Obamacare, you're violating our state's rights, you're violating the rights of our individuals by forcing them to buy something that they don't want. And so we have that wall of protection now because of Senate Bill 411, but hopefully this court challenge will find that this whole Obamacare is unconstitutional. Now, that doesn't address the problem that you have, but what
Us and 27 million
Oh,
other small
absolutely,
business owners,
absolutely.
you know, I mean.
And so it's going to take a legislative correction, and we made a step this time we modified the MEWA law. Now, I'm on, MEWA, what does that stand? It stands for Multiple Employer Welfare Associations. And I guess the prime example of this being active in Georgia is the Georgia Pharmacy Association. All the independent pharmacists have band together and they have created this MEWA, this Multiple Employer Welfare Association, where they now have a health plan that your local pharmacist or the local pharmacist down in Rutledge, Georgia, they can get their health insurance, and it's not on an individual basis, because on an individual basis you may have coverage, but then when you have some kind of an event in your life, a claim, at the next renewal, the insurance company is apt to exclude that or jump your coverage so much that you can't afford it. And that's the benefit of having a group policy, of working for a large company that has a group policy. But your trucking company's not large enough to have that group. But if you could get together with the rest of the people in the Georgia Motor Truckers Association, and y'all could form one of these associations, then you would have people, you'd have the Blue Cross Blue Shields, the Uniteds, the Aetnas, the Cignas, these companies coming in, or Alliant Health Plan, which is a local near here up in Dalton. They would come and they would bid for your business, and they would be competing against each other. And competition is the thing that's going to drive these prices down.
That's right.
And I was going to ask you earlier, when the states that it's successful in, like Illinois, which you said is really non-regulated. Okay, if you want to stay in business, I have to beat the other fellow's price.
Right.
I mean, that's part of doing business. If you're the highest guy cutting grass, I don't want you to cut my grass because I can't afford it. You know, so the cost of doing business, you have to maintain a level that you're going to make a profit, but you also have to be competitive. And competition is the best thing in the world.
That's right. That's right.
It is the best thing in the world.
You know, Sherry, I'm not an insurance agent. I'm not an attorney.
Shame on you. What you doing in politics? What did you do for a living?
Well, I'm a businessman.
Okay.
I worked 18 years for Shell Chemical Company in their Ag Chem division. You know, this probably isn't going to go over too well, but I've got a degree in agriculture from the University of Florida. My father was in the citrus business.
And you lived in Apopka, Florida.
I lived in Apopka, Florida, and right in the middle of an orange grove. And so I went to the University of Florida and majored in citrus because I was coming home to run the citrus operation. Well, when I was a junior in college, a freeze came through and killed all the orange trees.
Oh, boy.
And so I went to work for the Ag Chem division of Shell, worked for them for 18 years in both sales and management. And in 1986, Shell decided they were going to sell that Ag Chem division to DuPont, and DuPont wanted me to move to Iowa, and I said, going to Iowa.
No, I've been to Iowa. You don't want to go there.
And so I had a propane gas business that I had started with two partners in Southwest Georgia. It was located in Colquitt, Georgia. So I took the money that I had accumulated in Shell stock and bought my partners out. And so since that time, I've been an independent businessman. I ended up selling that propane
You know,
gas
if we had
company.
business people running the country, I
Amen.
swear we would know what we're
Amen.
doing.
Amen.
That's true.
Because a
And they know what
businessman
they were
knows.
doing.
Exactly, exactly. You
Yeah.
know if you don't have money to put gas in your lawnmowers, you ain't going nowhere, big
No.
boy.
No.
Them things are not rolling.
No.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But right now, I own a company that has a lot of big trucks. We've got a roll-off company in Athens, ASAP Waste Disposal. I also own a portable toilet company, and a lot of people like to say, well, that's appropriate for somebody in politics to be in trash and toilets. But I like to say that if you go to the UGA home football games, you
You've
use
used
a porta
one of
potty,
your-
I want to thank you for your business. And,
There you go.
and then I'm also in the outdoor advertising business, and I own real estate, some apartments and things like that. So I'm an independent businessman. I mean, I spend a lot of money on insurance also,
Sure you
do.
and I want to protect my interest because the job of the insurance commissioner is to protect the consumers of
Exactly.
the state of Georgia.
I've always wondered what that job was because I've never been happy with an insurance commissioner. I've never seen them do anything for me, the small business person. I've never seen them come in and say, wow, we got you a deal. And I'm going to tell you the figures. My Blue Cross Blue Shield as a widow started out at $337 a month. Today it is $1107 a month. Okay, that's like a car payment and a house payment.
No kidding.
That's like I'm driving and living in my insurance. I mean, that is
And
like
you're not
ridiculous.
using it.
And terrified to use it. I mean, it's like if I go to the doctor, oh, I'll just pay it out of my pocket. I don't want the insurance company to even know. That is ridiculous to be
Right.
held hostage by an insurance company, but we all are. All independent business people are really, really
Absolutely.
struggling. Now, if you're elected insurance commissioner, tell me what you have in mind for me. What can you do for me?
Well, the thing that I would like to do is to reduce the regulations, and that is what discourages insurance companies from coming in the state of Georgia is because of the excessive regulations. Now, people say that that the insurance commissioner likes those regulations because it makes these companies beholden to the commissioner's office. And but I'm not viewing this as a power a position of power. I'm looking at the commissioner's office as a seat of service. And so I'm going to do everything in my power to reduce those regulations so we'll have more competition because capitalism works. Competition gives us the best deal. Free enterprise is what America is based on. And we need to do everything in our power to empower business to provide services at the lowest cost to the consumers of the state of Georgia.
I'm going to throw out two names to you. One of them I'd never heard of. And this year I had a couple of small claims with Farmers Insurance.
I know them.
Where are they from?
They're from Alabama.
Okay. Good company?
They're rated good, yes.
Okay. Because, excuse me, in the trucking, one of the things that we hear every year is, well, there aren't many people writing trucking insurance. Competition is good. I'd never heard of Farmers until this year, and I happen to have insurance with them. I also have Allstate. I have some State Farm. I have some Cotton States. Honey, I got insurance of all sizes, shapes,
Auto
and forms.
owners.
Yeah, I have some of that too. Have a little bit of Progressive. But I do shop for insurance. Will what you have in mind make it easier for me to shop and give me a deal?
I think so, yes. And you need to, I mean, if you're going to buy a car, unless you've got the friend that owns the automobile dealership, the chances are you're going to decide what kind of car you want, and then you're going to look around for the various dealers to see, and you may even look online to see where you can get the best deal for that car. Now, you're going to have to incorporate into that decision, are you going to be able to get service? And you need to look, and AM Best rates insurance companies. Now, we had a situation that arose in workers' comp insurance, which is something you have to have. There was a company that came into Georgia that undercut everybody's price in workers' comp. They were what's called a captive insurance company, which means they were not regulated by the state of Georgia. All they had to do was prove that they had uh, that they were solvent, that they had the financial resources to pay their claims, and then they had to report to the commissioner or to the department what their claims experience was. But it turned out that they were underreporting their claims, and they were therefore spending down their reserves, and it turned out that they were insolvent. But they undercut everybody's price and took the market. But then when they were declared insolvent and the commissioner liquidated the company, these claims were out there ineligible for the insolvency pool because they were a captive insurance company, which means that they could not participate in the insolvency pool. This is the kind of situation that the department has to monitor closely to make sure that the consumers in the state of Georgia are protected.
Right. That makes good sense.
Okay, representing the area. Now tell us Athens and what else?
Well, this is my 14th year in the General Assembly, and I've represented 21 different counties during that time.
Royston was part of them at one time.
At one time, that was when I was in 16 different counties. I had the Franklin Springs, Royston area in Franklin County, and then I came back in at the Gumlog precinct up in on Lake Hartwell. But I had 5 complete counties and parts of 11 others. Currently, I represent all of Oglethorpe County, all of Madison County, the western part of Elbert County, just about all of Jackson County, the eastern part of Clark County, Athens, and then all of Barrow County. So I've got one of the, they're going to have to trim the geography of this district down because we're supposed to be, according to the last census, representing about 156,000 people. Well, I'm now representing over 200,000 people because Jackson County and Barrow County are two of in the top 25 fastest growing counties in the United States.
Why are they growing? Do you have industry?
I-85.
We got I-85. They're on that industrial corridor from Atlanta to Charlotte. And they're growing. And
jobs?
Yes,
Do you have jobs there?
Barrow and Jackson are way below the state average on unemployment. We do. I mean, we're not overrun with them. Clark County in my district probably is right at the state average, but my district is it's agricultural in the Oglethorpe, Madison, and that Elbert County. It's industrial in the Jackson and Barrow County part, and the Clark County part is based on the University of Georgia.
Some of these laws that Captain Reynolds talked about that are enacted 1st of July, you see any amendments to those, challenges to those?
I don't think so. I think they were well vetted and they were well discussed. And Dr. Don Thomas, the senator from up in Dalton, he got the seatbelt law passed for pickup trucks. I mean, that was his issue, and that's going to be valuable to the state of Georgia because there's, I think it was $112 or $120 million worth of federal funding that was excluded from our drawdown from the federal government on the federal highway tax, gasoline tax, because we didn't have the seatbelts in trucks and law. And so we will get that boost in our economy coming in from the federal government. But Dr. Thomas, he fought for this, and the previous speaker always would put this, we would pass it in the Senate, go over to the House, and the speaker would put it in some remote committee and say, put your foot on it, don't let it out. Well, it was such a breath of fresh air with the man from the mountains.
Yay, David Ralston, yay.
And I was with him this weekend. He is such a gentleman and did such a good job. He really is. And it was a new day. It was a new day for Georgia because, Sherry, we did the right thing. We didn't cater to special interest groups or special lobbyists that got in somebody's ear and was able to kill them.
What was always the argument for not having seatbelt laws in pickup trucks?
This started with Tom Murphy. and he was just opposed to it. It was an agricultural interest, but
Right.
we've got an agricultural
Right.
exemption right now. If you're using your truck on the farm, or if you're hauling agricultural produce, you don't have to wear a seatbelt. But pickup trucks are so popular. Did
That's
I
all
hear
I've
you
got.
have a pickup?
That's all I've got.
Yeah.
And
Pickup
what's
trucks.
your farming interest?
I have none.
Well, you're going to have to wear your pickup, your
I mean,
seatbelt.
yeah, I
That's
know.
right, that's right.
But, you know, and that's the right thing to do because pickup trucks are so popular. I've got a pickup truck, and I've always put my seatbelt on when I drive it. But, you know, now everybody's going to have to, and that's going to reduce our medical expenses.
Okay, let's talk. We've got 2 minutes to go, and we've got to say, how do folks get in touch with you if they have ideas? When you go back to work, you can bend somebody's ear and you can put it in there. You
Absolutely.
know, so how do people get in touch with you?
Well, I've got an email address, ralph@ralphhutchins.com. I've
Okay.
got a website that is a contact thing. It's just ralphhutchins.com. Or my cell phone number is 706-424-7755. I mean, I have devoted the last 14 years of my life serving the public, not only the people. It's kind of funny. People will call me up and they'll say, "Well, Senator, I voted for you and I need you to help." And I say, "Well, what do you need?" And they tell me, and I say, "Okay, I'll see what I can do." And I say, "Now, how do I get back in touch with you?" You say, "Well, you can mail me at this particular address," and it's not even in my district.
Wow,
So
wow.
they couldn't have voted for me.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I've always been willing to help
Right.
anyone. So I'm going to be accessible. I always have been. My door's always been open in the Capitol. Anybody that comes down, they don't need an appointment. If I'm there, I'll see you.
That's a good plan to have. And insurance is one of those things. It's got to be worked on. It's got to be.
Right.
It's got to be fixed.
Well,
it's got to be fixed.
The commissioner has got to have a good relationship with the members of the General Assembly because he's going to be the advocate, and if he is crossways with them, and we've got some people in these races that are throwing the members of the General Assembly under the bus and saying they're causing problems. Well, let me tell you, they're not going to be they're not going to have much inclination to want to help this guy
True.
out.
Well, once again, give your phone number, and then we've got to go. It's one
All
of
right.
those things. The day's almost gone.
706-424-7755 is my cell phone number.
If you have
It
questions,
comes in right here, and you told me to
that's
turn it
turn
off.
I did, so you can't call him right now. Today's been a busy day. It's been a day I dreaded. Aunt Betty went on to be with the Lord on Friday. Her funeral service will be today at 2 o'clock. Please go by and speak to Shorty and give Kim a hug and tell the family how much they mean to you. What a great, great lady. What a great day it's been, and such an honor to be able to talk about somebody who made such a difference in my life. From North Georgia Now Today, I'm Sherry Martin.
And I'm Dean Martin.
It's Bill Senyard. That's Bill Senyard, and he can't vote for you either, but we could move him over to your
That's
district.
right.
I'm going to pack Bill and send him packing. What would y'all think if I sent Bill packing? It ain't going to happen. From North Georgia Now Today, we will be back Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 10 a.m., 6 to 7:30 p.m., and 1 to 2:30. And guess what, guys? I'm off on Friday. The girls are going to take my place. It's going to take two of those little ladies to fill this seat, but Angela and Charlene will be here. We hope you will be here with us every day, only on ETC3.
My heart to fear and grace my